Europe has dozens of cities that every traveler dreams of visiting, and many of them are absolutely worth seeing at least once. But after visiting Europe for decades, I've realized something interesting. Some famous cities are incredible the first time, but don't pull me back. Others somehow get better every time I visit. In this video, I'll show you the 7 European cities I would happily visit again and again, and why they've earned a permanent place on my list. I'm Roger from priceoftravel.com, and let's start with Sorrento. Italy's 3 biggest tourist destinations are Rome, Florence, and Venice, and I think everyone should visit all 3 at least once. But if we're talking about cities I'd happily return to over and over, my choice is Sorrento, just south of Naples. Venice is simply too crowded these days, Rome can feel exhausting after a few visits, and while Florence is wonderful, it's compact enough that I don't feel the need to keep going back. Sorrento is definitely a tourist town, but it doesn't really have one huge attraction of its own. Instead, it's the perfect base for exploring this amazing part of Italy, so it never feels like everyone is there for the exact same reason. The town itself sits at the end of the Circumvesuviana Railway from Naples, making it easy to visit Pompeii and several smaller towns along the way. It's also ideal for day trips to Naples, Pompeii, the Amalfi Coast, and the island of Capri, all with easy connections by train, bus, or ferry. Even when I'm not taking day trips, I love just wandering the narrow streets, enjoying the sea views, stopping for limoncello, and eating at one of the many small family-run restaurants around the town center. Every time I've been there, Sorrento has had a relaxed, welcoming atmosphere that's surprisingly easy to settle into for a week. Hotels aren't cheap, but they're still a good value for such a popular destination. A really nice hotel in a central location starts around $200 a night in September, like this one near the train station with excellent reviews. Sorrento combines a beautiful setting with some of the best day trips anywhere in Europe, so it's a place I'd happily return to every chance I get. The first time I visited Copenhagen in the late 1990s, I enjoyed it so much that I actually looked into the immigration rules to see if I could move there. 6 months later, I even flew back in the middle of winter when daylight only lasts about 6 hours just to see if it was still as appealing, and surprisingly it was. Copenhagen is a beautiful city, and not just because of the colorful buildings along the famous Nyhavn waterfront. The historic center is filled with green copper rooftops, church spires, canals, and parks, but what really stands out is how incredibly livable the whole city feels. Like Amsterdam, bicycles are everywhere, but without nearly as many tourists getting in the way. Copenhagen also doesn't have dozens of huge must-see attractions, so visitors tend to spread out instead of overwhelming the city. You can spend the day wandering the main pedestrian street, relaxing in cafes, or just exploring different neighborhoods without ever feeling like you're checking sites off a list. I also found Copenhagen to be one of the friendliest big cities I've ever visited. Nearly everyone speaks excellent English, and people genuinely seem happy to help visitors. That combination of beauty, organization, and friendliness makes it feel surprisingly easy to settle into, even if you're only there for a few days. Copenhagen definitely isn't cheap, but you can still find an excellent hotel near Tivoli Gardens and the central train station for around $270 a night in September. I've visited in both summer and winter, and both trips convinced me that Copenhagen is one of those rare cities I'd happily return to again and again. Next up is Berlin, which has been something of an oasis for creative people ever since the Berlin Wall came down in 1989. The city certainly has its share of famous landmarks and excellent museums, but those aren't really why I keep going back. Berlin is mostly about the vibe. In the 1990s, rents in the former East Berlin were so low that artists, musicians, and entrepreneurs could afford to experiment with just about any crazy idea for a shop, cafe, bar, or nightclub. When I first started visiting in the late 1990s, that creative energy was still everywhere, and I think a lot of it remains today. Austin, Texas likes to say, "Keep Austin weird," but for my money, Berlin has always been weirder in the best possible way. There are beautiful parks, beer gardens, outdoor markets, quirky museums, unusual restaurants, and some of the best nightlife in Europe. It's the kind of city where you can wander into a neighborhood you've never seen before and end up having one of the most memorable afternoons of your trip. Hotel prices have gone up over the years, but Berlin is still one of the better values among Europe's major capitals. A highly rated apartment in a central trendy neighborhood can still be found for around $165 a night in September. Berlin keeps changing faster than almost any other European city, and that's exactly why I keep looking forward to my next visit, quite possibly later this year. By the way, if you're enjoying this tour so far, I'd really appreciate a quick like. It helps the channel a lot. Now let's head to Paris. So far I've talked about cities where the famous attractions aren't really the main reason to visit, but Paris is different because some of the world's greatest attractions are here for a reason. I don't need to go up the Eiffel Tower many more times, and I probably won't visit the Louvre again unless I'm traveling with someone who's never been. But beyond those famous sites, Paris has incredible depth. The Orsay Museum across the Seine is one of my favorite museums anywhere in the world, and somehow it never seems to feel nearly as crowded as the Louvre. There are also places I still haven't visited, including the catacombs, so Paris continues to give me reasons to come back. I also have to admit that a huge part of Paris's appeal is the food. I talked about that more in my recent video on European food experiences, which I'll link below, but I still think Paris offers the best overall food scene of any major city in Europe. Whether you're looking for a neighborhood bistro, a French baguette, pastries, or one of the world's great fine dining restaurants, the quality is consistently outstanding and the prices are often more reasonable than people expect. My favorite area to stay is Montmartre, where you can still find an excellent hotel for around $270 a night in September. I never get tired of wandering around those winding streets, but also riding the hop-on hop-off bus around the city or taking an evening cruise on the Seine. Every time I've brought someone to Paris, those experiences have ended up being among their favorites too. Paris may be the obvious choice on this list, but after all these years, it's still one of the European cities I look forward to visiting again and again. Next up is Malta, and I'll actually be talking more about a specific part of the island in a moment. I haven't mentioned Malta very often in previous videos, but I think it fits this list perfectly. This small island nation just south of Sicily has one of Europe's mildest climates, and it has that relaxed island atmosphere where you never feel like you're missing out if you spend half the afternoon sitting in a harborfront cafe watching the boats go by. Malta is small, with only about 500,000 residents, and there are no major highways crossing the island. At least to me, it always feels like most visitors are there to enjoy the Mediterranean lifestyle rather than racing from one attraction to the next. That doesn't mean there's nothing to see. Malta has an incredible history, having been ruled by everyone from the Romans to the Knights of St. John, and later the British, which is one reason English remains an official language today. That makes it one of the easiest places in Southern Europe for English-speaking visitors. Valletta, the capital, has most of the spectacular architecture and history, but I prefer staying across the harbor in Slima. It's a quick ferry ride away, yet it has a much more relaxed feel and plenty of cafes and restaurants with beautiful sea views. Malta isn't famous for sandy beaches, but there are countless places to swim, take boat trips, or simply enjoy being beside the water. It's also one of the more affordable cities on this list, with an excellent hotel in Slima starting around $130 a night in September. I don't know exactly when I'll be back, but the next time I'm anywhere near the central Mediterranean, I'm sure I'll find a reason to spend a few more days in Malta. Next up is Nice, France, but this recommendation really applies outside the peak summer months of July and August. During those months, the French Riviera can get extremely crowded, and I cover some of the better summer alternatives in another video that I'll link below. Like Sorrento, Nice is a wonderful destination on its own, but it's also the perfect base for exploring the famous places nearby. Located on the Mediterranean near the eastern end of the French Riviera, Nice is only about 20 minutes by train from Cannes and Antibes to the west, and about 20 minutes from Monaco and its spectacular harbor to the east. That makes it easy to stay in a relatively affordable hotel in Nice while taking inexpensive day trips to a different destination whenever you feel like it, before returning to Nice for another excellent dinner with French wine. It's a combination that's hard to beat. Of course, you don't have to leave Nice at all. The city has beautiful Belle Epoque architecture, several excellent museums, the famous outdoor market in the heart of the Old Town, and the gorgeous English promenade stretching along the Mediterranean. The beach is made of smooth pebbles rather than sand, but the water really is that incredible shade of blue you've probably seen in photos. Because Nice is much larger than most of the neighboring resort towns, it's usually one of the more affordable places to stay on this stretch of coast. A highly rated hotel in a great location starts at around $220 a night in September. France has countless charming small towns, but for me, nowhere outside Paris offers this combination of atmosphere, great food, and so many memorable places within such easy reach. Last up, and some of you have probably been wondering if it would make the list, is London. I won't bore you with that famous quote about being tired of London because you're tired of life, but I do think there's a lot of truth behind it. I was fortunate enough to live in London for about 6 months, in addition to making countless shorter visits over the years. To me, along with New York City, London feels like one of the two capitals of the world. Like New York, it's made up of distinct neighborhoods with influences from every corner of the globe, so every visit feels a little different. Whether you're interested in live music, theater, world-class museums, great restaurants, or just wandering through another neighborhood you've never explored before, London has an incredible amount of depth. Look at the concert listings on almost any night and you'll find famous bands playing everything from intimate clubs to sold-out arenas. It's the kind of city where you could visit a dozen times and still have a long list of things left to do. Of course, London has a reputation for being expensive, and sometimes it absolutely deserves it. But after a few visits, you learn that there are affordable alternatives for almost everything if you know where to look. Even hotels don't have to break the bank. A well-rated 3-star hotel near Paddington Station can still be found for a little over $200 a night in September. I probably don't need to convince many people that London is worth visiting again and again. What I can say is that once you get beyond the famous sights and start discovering your own favorite neighborhoods, pubs, parks, and restaurants, every return visit becomes an even more rewarding one than the last. So those are 7 European cities that I'd happily visit again and again. Looking back over the list, I realized they all made it for completely different reasons. Some are perfect places to relax, others are ideal bases for exploring nearby attractions, and others just seem to keep revealing something new every time I visit. A list like this is personal, and I'm sure yours would look different from mine. I'd love to hear which European cities you keep going back to, or which ones you think I should have included instead. Let us know in the comments because I'm always looking for ideas for my next trip. If you'd like more information about these cities, including the hotels I mentioned, I'll have a priceoftravel.com article linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe for more travel videos like this one, and thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next one.